This is News 3 at 6.
People across Wisconsin are still dealing with the threat of flooding. Areas of Sauk County are preparing for runoff from the Baraboo River. People have already been evacuated from communities along the river.
Jamie Perez starts our team coverage after spending the day in Rock Springs and North Freedom.
It seems like we just cannot escape these floodwaters. Here I'm surrounded in water in what's supposed to be a parking lot for the Railroad Museum, but you can see that this goes much further than where we're just standing right now.
It's shocking. It's surprising. It's
scary.
We've pretty much heard it all at this point. Sauk County is preparing people for evacuations just from runoff water from the Baraboo River.
Because you never know what a family's going to go through again this year. Because in 2008, my family lost absolutely everything.
This isn't Anne's first flood, but like many others, she says she's never seen it like this. This area in Rock Springs didn't even look like this morning. County workers say it's risen about 6 feet overnight. They even took a boat out to shut off power for everyone in this area.
The reality is always a lot more frightening and surprising. So how far back the water goes, I mean, we can't even see the end of it. That is just most amazing.
Sandra is just here visiting. She says she's seen the flood on the news. She wanted to check it out herself.
Coming into town from the other way, when we saw the devastation there, we actually got a little choked up, and then of course we saw the National Guard out helping. So thank God for them, but it's quite something.
The National Guard she just mentioned is filling up as many sandbags as they can to prepare for the worst.
Could be a day, could be a week, until they tell us that everything's ready and good to go. Put your backs into it.
With water levels already upwards of 10 to 15 feet in some areas, people are just waiting, bracing for the water levels to exceed their expectations.
I mean, we're hoping for the best, but we're just preparing the best we can, and that's what we're here to do.
For now, it's just a waiting game. In Sauk County, Jamie Perez, WISC News 3.
Sauk County Police say they've sent out warnings to residents telling them to prepare to evacuate if the water levels start to overflow into the residential areas there.
And even with the heavy rains missing the city of Madison this past week, the threat of flooding still isn't over. Road closures and additional flooding are possible on the isthmus as the flow of water out of Lake Mendota is going up. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield from the weather patio now with more. Dave?
Well, Eric, as this flooding situation now drags on into its 10th day, City of Madison officials aren't taking any precautions. They are going and increasing the flow of water from Lake Mendota through the Tenney Dam. Now, officials say it's going to be pretty similar to last week as far as water levels and lane closures. They don't want to jump the gun only to have to close streets and parking areas again. East Washington Ave and North 1st Street will have possible lane closures, but they expect to keep some lanes open as well. And North Livingston Street will be closed between East Washington Ave and East Dayton Street. Mayor Paul Soglin says the process can be frustrating, but with the local lakes and rivers near capacity, the amount of water let out of the dam has to be closely regulated.
As we bring down Lake Mendota, it means more rushing water into the Yahar River, and Lake Monona. That is what's flooding the isthmus. It's like you're emptying one giant bathtub into another giant bathtub through a straw.
And with the threat of more heavy rain this weekend and into next week, Soglin says residents on the isthmus need to remain vigilant of flooding and to watch not just rain totals in Madison, but in the entire watershed. He also added officials will continue to decrease water levels on Lake Mendota whenever possible. Now, this event, Soglin says, has been especially hard for residents emotionally because with all the rounds of rain that have come in, it hasn't been possible for the area to enter full recovery mode. So hopefully we miss the worst of the rains once again this weekend. Eric?
Really need some dry weather. Dave Caulfield on the weather patio. Dave, thank you.
Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti with more on what we can expect. Gary?
Well, I'll tell you right now, that word hope is a big part of this forecast because there is the potential for more heavy rain. Whether or not it falls in Madison or some other place still remains to be seen, but we do have alert days in the forecast from Friday night into Saturday for the potential for a round of showers and thunderstorms that'll produce some heavy downpours, maybe even some high winds or a little bit of hail. But a flash flood watch has already been issued for areas north and northeast of Dane County from 10 p.m. tomorrow night into 7 p.m. on Saturday. Now, visible cloud track shows today was a good day for drying. Lots of sunshine, or at least most of the day we had sunshine. Doppler track pretty much free of precipitation other than a few sprinkles of rain showing up over parts of eastern Iowa. But severe weather will develop tomorrow in Minnesota and Iowa. Will move eastward. Weaken as it pushes into southern Wisconsin. We can't rule out an isolated strong to severe thunderstorm for tomorrow night into early Saturday morning. And there's still a marginal risk of severe weather for Madison southward, but it's the rain. That's the predicted forecast from the computer models. About 1 to 2 inches of rain generally, with heavier amounts in excess of 3 inches and heavier thunderstorms. Low temperatures this morning started out a little cooler thanks to the dry weather. High temperature, or and the dry air. High temperatures today generally in the lower to middle 70s. Right now we're very comfortable, 72 degrees in Madison. Dew point temperatures in the upper 50s to around 60, but those will increase with time. And by tomorrow morning, while temperatures will be down in the upper 50s, look for highs tomorrow in the mid 70s. Already we could see a shower or thunderstorm chance in the afternoon. That's your first alert forecast.
Thank you, Gary. The National Weather Service confirms 8 tornadoes touched down in Wisconsin on Tuesday. NWS teams spent today assessing damage across the state, including Marquette and Greene counties. One of the 8 tornadoes was in Brownsville, which is near the Dodge and Fond du Lac County line. Today, Governor Walker spent time assessing some of the damage from those storms in Fond du Lac County. Tomorrow, he'll go to Sauk County. He's also reminding people around the state to report their damage. If you plan on traveling this holiday weekend, you should know that your route could be impacted by this flooding.
The Wisconsin Department of Transportation wants to remind you not to drive around barricades or through any standing water. Rose Schmidt joins us to tell us what you need to know. Rose.
Well, first, here's the good news. Construction projects are stopped this weekend to help with the Labor Day traffic, but you should expect delays and detours. As you may already know, flooding is widespread across Wisconsin, affecting Dane County and more recently communities north and south of us. But it seems many drivers don't know.
Blue skies, nice weather.
Pretty much everything you could ask for driving down I-3990.
We're going to Springfield, Illinois.
Making a stop near DeForest to fill the tank.
It's been pretty smooth sailing so far.
Starting their journey in Wisconsin.
We've been up in Boulder Junction, Minocqua area.
Or just passing through.
It's about 12 hours. We've been on the road since about 6.
Well, Labor Day is upon us, and that's one of the 5 major travel holidays that we see throughout the year.
The Wisconsin Department of Transportation has had a pretty busy week already.
Obviously, there are many communities in the southwest part of the state that are undergoing recovery efforts.
But it seems that news of those recovery efforts may not have traveled outside of the state. Have you heard that there's flooding in the area?
No.
Have you heard that there's flooding in the area?
Not at all.
No? Are you worried about that at all?
Not at all.
The good news, right now the interstate system throughout Wisconsin is open.
We're sticking on 94, so should be pretty safe.
But the bad news, roads are closed in at least 7 counties in our area.
There are highways that are opening up, and there are highways that are closing as the water makes its way to different areas.
With that water constantly moving,
I've seen a little bit along the side of the road, but it has not impacted our drive so far.
it's hard to say which areas to watch out for most.
Be sure to check the road conditions, the highway conditions before you leave throughout the weekend, and then once again before you return.
And by planning ahead, you can have a great holiday weekend.
A little cool when we started out this morning. It was 42 degrees, but beautiful day.
For updates about road and lane closures and travel speeds, you can check the Department of Transportation's Wisconsin 511 system. The website is 511wi.gov. And the peak travel times will be between noon and 8 p.m. tomorrow and Monday. So if you're driving during those days, millions of people will also be around you.
Yeah, this kind of summer's last hurrah. A lot of cars on the road. Give yourself extra time and be safe out there. Rose, thank you.
Badger fans are excited for tomorrow's home opener.
That's right, but getting to Camp Randall may be a little more difficult than you might expect. We'll tell you what's ahead next at 6. Welcome back. Tomorrow night marks the first Badger football game of the season.
There's always traffic on game day, as we know, but road closures because of flooding and construction might make things worse. Keely Arthur shares how to navigate your way to Camp Randall.
On any Badger game day, you can expect to see a lot of W's in red, but over here on Monroe Street, you'll see just as much orange and road closed signs.
We're picking up our season tickets for all the Badger games.
While students excitedly pick up their tickets, UWPD is preparing for tomorrow's game in a different way.
The biggest issue we're going to have tomorrow, and quite honestly the entire football season, is Monroe Street. Monroe Street is such a major thoroughfare when it comes to individuals not only getting to the game, but going home from the game.
This year, heading out of Camp Randall on Monroe isn't even an option, with only one lane and one way, which is headed eastbound, open.
It's like a race course, you know, you're zigzagging in and out of construction barrels.
So UWPD's advice? Skip it altogether.
I take Monroe Street every day to come into work, and that has added to my commute, and that's just my regular commute. Add in 80,000 Badger fans, I will not be taking Monroe Street tomorrow.
Take Park Street, John Nolan, or University instead. If you're coming to the game from the east, be aware of road closures because of flooding on the Isthmus.
That keeps changing, so we encourage people to continuously check the City of Madison's flooding website. They've got some great information.
So give yourself an extra 45 minutes to get down here, and remember, all the pain of the commute will pay off at kickoff.
It's worth it to jump around in there.
And this construction is going to last almost as long as the Badgers football season, with things set to wrap up in November. In Madison, Keely Arthur, WISC News 3.
Officials say to give yourself an extra 45 minutes of drive time. For links to the latest road closures and shuttle services to the game, go to channel3000.com.
Next at 6, it's the type of event that attracts animal lovers.
But these pups are on a mission to get more people to the polls. Their purpose next at 6.
And in weather, while we had a dry day today and much of tomorrow may be dry, showers and thunderstorms become likely later tomorrow night into Saturday morning. I'll tell you how much rain we can expect in just a few minutes.
Vice President Mike Pence is in Milwaukee tonight raising money for the Republican Senate candidate.
The Vice President attending a closed-door fundraiser for Leah Vukmir. She faces Democrat Tammy Baldwin in the November election. State Senator Vukmir has trailed Senator Baldwin in fundraising to date. Senator Baldwin's campaign said the vice president is coming to Wisconsin to help Vukmir because Vukmir would be the deciding vote in the U.S. Senate to allow insurance companies to deny Wisconsinites coverage for pre-existing conditions. Dog lovers and voting activists collide today as a local organization used puppies to encourage young adults to vote. Next Gen Wisconsin held a Pups to the Polls event today. This was on the East Campus Mall. A number of therapy dogs attracted a crowd as volunteers collected voting pledges. Organizers say that puppies are a great way to get the attention of young adults, and that as midterm elections draw near, finding innovative ways to make voters aware is essential.
Once students come over, it's really not much trouble at all to get them to register. People are so excited and energized and ready to go out and vote. That the dogs may get people there quicker, but people are going to be there no matter what.
Election Day, just more than 2 months away now, November 6th.
We're all aware that reading is fundamental for students of all ages, and that's a message a self-proclaimed book pusher is sharing with a number of kids in the area. Leisha Terry lives in Madison, and a few years ago, when the school district's Race to Equity report came out showing 84% of black students in the 3rd grade were reading below grade level, she knew she needed to help.
I don't have anybody in the school system anymore. My daughter's 26 years old. But I live in the community, and I want to live amongst, in a community that's working for their kids here. These kids are going to grow up and run this community.
With a bunch of books and her dog Chachki by her side, Leisha decided to do something good to help area children find their inner bookworm. Tonight on News 3 at 10, we'll share the story of Tales with Big T.
Well, we're just about to a very important weekend. Not only do we need to dry things out, but it's a holiday weekend. Lots of travelers on the roads as well, Gary.
Yeah, and already there are a number of roads that are closed because of flooding. That will continue as the water moves downstream, and other highways may be closed and some will open. But then we have the potential for more rain, and that could lead to more flooding problems. So we have alert days in the forecast for tomorrow night into Saturday for the possibility for thunderstorms that could produce some heavy downpours as well as gusty winds. This will mainly be later Friday night into early Saturday morning. The National Weather Service has issued a flash flood watch for areas north and northeast of Dane County, also including Sauk County, through from 10 p.m. tomorrow night until 7 p.m. on Saturday evening. The rainfall estimates very heavy, about 5 to 10 inches in the northern parts of our viewing area over the last few days. Now Doppler track pretty much free of precipitation. That's good news, but tomorrow, severe thunderstorms will develop in parts of Minnesota and Iowa, move eastward, probably maintain their strength crossing the Mississippi River, and then start weakening as they push into the Madison area as we get into the overnight hours where it's a little bit cooler and the atmosphere is a little more stable. So the severe weather threat is just going to be limited to a couple of isolated severe thunderstorms with high winds. That could even linger into Saturday morning, so the marginal risk continues for areas south of Madison, at least in the Saturday morning. More storms will develop farther to the west later in the day on Saturday. For most of us, it's going to be the rain that we're going to be looking at, and the potential for about 1 to 3 inches of rain generally over much of southern Wisconsin, and there could be some localized amounts in excess of 3 inches and heavier thunderstorms. We need more of this. This is the live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville showing clear skies there. WISC Skycam shows the skies have cleared out looking to the west, and the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. Lake water levels on Lake Mendota very high, but at least it's not raining right now. High temperature today 73, the low 53, very close, but just below the averages of 78 and 57. And right now we're at 72. It's sunny skies. Dew point temperature still in the mid to upper 50s, so the air pretty dry, but that will change over the next 24 hours. Temperatures right now mainly in the 70s here. Green Bay only at 69, Milwaukee at 66. To the west, temperatures low to mid 70s. Dew point temperatures 50s and low 60s here, but already west of Des Moines, Iowa, we're starting to see pockets where the dew point temperatures are approaching 70 degrees. And look at the winds. They're out of the southeast. Eventually they'll become southerly, and that will start bringing in more moisture through much of Wisconsin. On weather track, a dying cluster of thunderstorms moving to the south. We're going to watch the next batch develop out to the west here ahead of a cold front where hot and humid air collides with cooler air back to the west. You can see temperatures right now in the 80s to 90s, and then a drop in temperatures behind that front. That's what will trigger the next round of thunderstorms. Forecast includes that flash flood watch. Areas north and northeast of Dane County from tomorrow night into Saturday evening. 58 for the overnight low temperature with partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, variable cloudiness, breezy, a chance of a shower or thunderstorm, mainly in the afternoon north of Madison, high of 76. Future track, pretty quiet for tonight, partly cloudy skies, low temperatures, upper 50s. Tomorrow, a few showers and thunderstorms. The better chances maybe north of Madison, highs in the mid-70s. But here comes that area of showers and storms for tomorrow night, pretty widespread into early Saturday morning. And then during the day on Saturday, can't rule out an isolated shower or storm popping up, highs upper 70s to the lower 80s. Again, those rainfall amounts generally in the 1 to 2 inch range, some localized 3 or 4 inch amounts. 7 to 10 day forecast temperatures, well, we've gone past the flash flood watch, but we are looking for temperatures that will be generally in the 80s as we head into next week, and that will also bring some off and on chances of thunderstorms through the holiday weekend.
Aaron Rodgers talks about his new contract and playing his entire career as a Green Bay Packer. The story's coming up in sports. Brewers had a wild 13-12 win that went well past midnight Cincinnati time last night, but they were right back at it with an early afternoon game against the Reds today. And Wade Miley gave the Brewers' overworked bullpen a big boost today. He goes 7 1/3 innings, allowing 5 hits and 1 earned run. His earned run average this season, 2.18, and who saw that coming? But it's a 1-1 game, top of the 11th, when the Brewers get the game winner. Lorenzo Cain homers off the top of the wall in left. That makes a winner of Joakim Soria. Josh Hader gets the save. The Brewers win the series with a 2-1 win in 11. Seems like the Brewers' path to the playoffs goes through the wild card. The Cubs are 4.5 games ahead of the Brewers and 6 up in the loss column, but the Brewers are tied with the Cardinals now for the National League wild card. They're a game and a half ahead of the Rockies and 2 up on the Dodgers. Life is good for Aaron Rodgers. He didn't have to travel to Kansas City for tonight's final Packers exhibition game, and oh yeah, he got that 4-year, $134 million contract extension. Today, Rodgers talked about his new deal and how it sends a signal to the rest of the Packers players.
All it really does is just solidify my standing as a part of the future of this football team. And I think that just gives me even more clout and respect in the locker room with the guys knowing that I'm committed and the team is committed to me for a number of years now. This shows through this contract that there is a lot of mutual love and respect and excitement about keeping this partnership together. And, you know, doing something that I think is pretty cool, the opportunity to start and finish your career as a Packer.
The Packers' last preseason game starts at 7:30 tonight in Kansas City. The final roster cuts are due Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. Central Time. Deshaun Kaiser will probably start at quarterback, but Tim Boyle expected to play a lot since he didn't play last week at Oakland. Badger football, not the only home opener on campus this weekend. The Badger volleyball team is ranked 8th in the nation, and its hosts second-ranked Texas at the UW Fieldhouse, 7 o'clock Saturday night. Kelly Sheffield's team started its season last weekend in Minneapolis, winning 6 of 7 sets in their 2 matches with North Carolina and Florida State. It's a young Badger team this season, but Sheffield says a strong sophomore class could lead Wisconsin to big things in 2018.
They're not as fearful. They're not as tiptoeing through things. You know, they're a little bit more assertive. You know, Dana's, you know, demanding the ball a lot more than what she did this time last year. That's important. And certainly getting in there and going through the cycle of a season, certainly for a lot of players that can make a difference. And I think it is for our kids that are going into their sophomore year.
And it's the first match with the sections open in the upper deck, so it's going to create a little more noise and atmosphere, so that'll be fun.
All right, big weekend. Final check of the forecast.
Yeah, some thunderstorm chances, especially Friday night into Saturday morning, and then we'll look at the possibility for off and on shower and thunderstorm chances through the rest of the holiday weekend, too.
Gary, thank you. Thanks for joining us for News 3 at 6.
Enjoy your evening, and we'll see you back here at 10 o'clock.
Download the new Channel 3000 app and get alerted on your mobile device the minute news breaks. Wherever you go, be the first to know with Channel 3000.